Young people are mobile. At certain turning points of their lives, they are more likely to make big changes, even move from one country to another for a shorter or longer period. It all depends on how you look at it. The same person can be an immigrant of one country, an emigrant of another, or even a return migrant once they decide to move back home. In the Danube region too, there are typical sending or host countries, while in some countries inward and outward migration are both important. Many countries see their natives coming home, so return and circularity are important too.
There are a lot of stories circulating about youth migration, and everybody knows somebody who lives abroad and everybody knows somebody who comes from abroad. But these stories are individual. If we want to have a structured view on migration, we have to undertake an analysis. Local level processes can be different from national level processes, especially in bigger cities or in border regions, the migration patterns can be different from the national average. For this reason, YOUMIG prepared local status quo analysis in 7 cities based on data analysis, interviews and focus groups in order to have a structured view on youth migration on the local level.
The Hungarian Central Statistical Office has been responsible for collecting and producing data about Hungary for 150 years now. Today data is everywhere, and it is a great benefit but also a big challenge to work with the increased wealth of information. The experts of migration statistics in the Hungarian Central Statistical Office are happy to lead the project YOUMIG. Statisticians are working hard to provide ever more accurate data about people's movements. But they need local information, local data sources and the expertise of the locals themselves to understand how to best measure such a complex topic as youth migration.
When a young person moves from one city to another, there are a lot of administrative procedures that they have to complete. So this is definitely a burden on migrants whenever they arrive. On the longer run, there are also topics related to social integration, which they also have to go through. And if they decide to return, maybe return migration can be a difficult process as well, to reintegrate in one's own city.
Sóth Janet vagyok, 29 éves kreatív vállalkozó, Budapesten élek és Kanizsáról származom. Igyekszem olyan 2 hetente hazajárni Kanizsára. Budapest és Kanizsa tengelyén mozgok, és Pesten lenni, és most igazából nem Pestről van szó, hanem akár még fővárosban lenni Európában, az nagyon megterhelő. Mindig magammal viszek egy nagy adag érzelmi biztonságot és jó érzést. Ez számomra borzasztóan fontos. Szerintem az érzelmi stabilitás a mai rohanó világban, amikor igazából az emberek iszonyatosan törékenyek, az nagyon fontos.
YOUMIG gave each partner municipality the chance to test a targeted policy action that stakeholders expected to be helpful in managing youth migration locally. With the aid of a good practices guide offering examples which were successful elsewhere, YOUMIG partners each designed their pilot action closely linked to the goal of improving services for young people on the move. Some of the ideas tested were a virtual business incubator, co-working spaces and programs boosting telework and creative entrepreneurship, an online platform to address potential returnees and their interests, sensitization and multicultural trainings for preschool teachers, and language courses for migrant communities. A mentoring program for migrant girls who choose technical careers.
Die Leute glauben, viele Leute glauben, dass Technik gehört zu Männern. Aber es gibt Frauen, das glauben nicht, dass Technik gehört zu Männern. Ich glaube, Technik gehört zu alle, deswegen bin ich in diesem Unternehmen. So, es gibt viele Arbeit in diesem Beruf. Ich habe keine Angst. Es gibt viele Arbeit in dem Beruf.
Cities are often judged by the services they provide to their residents. Migration puts administrative burdens on young people who often don't know where to turn with their questions.
Many times the biggest problem for young immigrants is the lack of information, so they don't know where to go to resolve an administrative issue, and the idea behind YOUMIG's one-stop shop approach was to make an information hub that contains all the useful information for a young migrant. This hub can be a physical location, or which can be an informative website or a printed brochure which contains all the necessary information.
YOUMIG believes youth migration is one of the important topics for the development of our region. Therefore, each of the 7 YOUMIG municipalities prepared a local strategy.
And these strategies summarize all the important outcomes from the project which could be used in the future for local developmental planning. Every local strategy comes with a data toolkit, which is an Excel-based app and which contains all the important data about youth migration in a given city, but not only that, but also the social context of it. Local decision makers can use this data for local developmental planning and also for monitoring youth migration on their own in the future.
YOUMIG held trainings for local council staff to make sure they understand how to use the data and how to update it in future, to create an evidence-based policy agenda on youth migration in the Danube region. Different branches of government and administration find it hard to communicate, especially when coordination on data or registrations is involved. YOUMIG held several workshops to see where coordination between institutions or public relations with the target groups could be improved. Partners published some country-specific recommendations on how to improve the information flow. More than 100 people took part in YOUMIG, and even more people got involved indirectly in its activities. YOUMIG hopes this network of knowledge will stay alive after the days of the project, as a reliable source of information to ensure more evidence-based decision-making for youth migration in the Danube region.